So many are now asking how we are defining regenerative agriculture and also putting forward a kind of understanding that if we don't define it reductionistically, that is to say positively, that we cannot really work with it. And I think here is already the beginning of the paradigm shift we can work with if we want to work with a holistic regenerative revolution. And I might cite Oscar Wilde, who said, all definition is restriction. And that's exactly what we need to learn. If we want to enable regenerative agriculture, we must not believe that we define it measure by measure, plot by plot, but we just must define what we all want as the outcomes, and then trust and enable the farmers and the people in the system to bring us there together. So then we come into the next problem of always wanting to put just another outcome because maybe the other outcomes we identified don't speak for everything or there's some risk. We like to say good enough for now, safe enough to try. So we need to be aware that especially we need to be able to convince the large breadth of conventional farmers of transforming their practices, and that cannot be achieved by too complex MLV systems and reporting standards and outcome lists. So we really believe in the outcomes of overall net primary productivity, which is the basis of all life, living biomass. And then another outcome is, of course, soil health. And starting from there, we can already, with easy indicators, define the outcomes. So in the 500 million years in which our planet was growing conduciveness to complex life, it's basically a symbiosis of plants and animals to make ever more photosynthesis, to grow ever more healthy soils, which can support ever more complex life forms, all the way to us humans. And today we have reduced the living biomass on this planet by half in comparison to the birth of Christ. And that is really at the heart of our nature and climate crisis, also at our public health crisis. And we need to regenerate this living biomass. Another example we can make, during the age of the dinosaurs, we had much warmer climate, but a stable climate. And that was because in times of the dinosaurs, we had over double the amount of living biomass that we had at the birth of Christ. So, globally, we have more than $700 billion annually that goes from our taxpayer money to farmers through subsidies. That's existing capital flow to which, for example, voluntary carbon markets have no matching in whatsoever. And currently, all this money is either paid out to farmers directly for price support or land ownership, or in terms of measures for which they are paid. However, this is all in a top-down reductionistic paradigm. We have basically zero of these billions that are paid in an emergence facilitating way through results or outcomes that are context and journey specific. And their public policy must change in a way that it's able to steward ecosystems and agents for biocultural diversity and their own capacity growth for our society's adaptation to the multiple crises we are facing, and hopefully in some sense alleviating these crises. And there we have a lot of work to do in thinking out ways of doing performance-based subsidies in agriculture. Yes, so in the last 20 years, our common agricultural policy in Europe, the largest part of our European budget, is spent basically in two ways. That is direct payments to farmers. So if you have a hectare of land, you get X amount of money just for keeping it in agricultural use. And then mostly the other part of the money we spend in a measure-based system. So, for example, we tell you, cut your grassland on the 1st of June and you will get X amount of euros. And we do that because there was some scientific study that said if we cut the grassland in date X, we will help butterflies or other insects to grow better. Then the farmer is actually doing that measure because it's very well paid in terms of his profit loss on his economics on that grassland. It has a huge impact, this amount of money. However, in climate change, maybe it was raining 3 weeks before this 1st of June. So the farmer is going out anyways to cut the grass, not to help the butterflies, but to get that money. But maybe, therefore, we are compacting the soil for 5 years to come and kill all the capacity of the soil to host insects that would breed there. So we can actually have a negative ecological impact through our public money that's trying to pay for ecosystem services. Then we have another, arguably even worse, social impact, because we are teaching the farmer to basically be a drug addict to the subsidy payments, instead of trying to farm more holistically in symbiosis with nature for his or her own goals, which is productivity and making a living for the family. So we have presented this approach firstly on the technical workshop of the European Commission on agricultural sustainability, where we were also the first really to introduce the concept of regenerative agriculture and the problems with greenwashing, the fears of the organic sector of cannibalizing their price premium margins and other issues. And then in April, we did the launch event in Brussels of our policy paper, where we are really in detail on 60 plus pages lining out the approach, as well as the legal, technological, political aspects of this whole context specificity of the common agriculture policy. Right now, we are doing a Europe-wide study to produce the empirics of that proposal. So both of the technological operationability as well as of the connection of input and output of farming performance, what the OECD calls sustainable total factor productivity, in correlation to the indicators we propose. And policymakers, it's very far out of the box what we have been proposing. So we are met with a lot of healthy criticism, I would say, but also with a lot of excitement that this thinking out of the box and in such a detailed way by pioneering farmers for all farmers has happened. One key message for the people to hear, I would say, although around us we are going into deep crisis at all levels and people are suffering and exploited around the world, we have good reason to be pessimists of intellect, but even better reasons to be optimists of heart and will. And the whole regenerative agriculture revolution, as a true etymological meaning of agriculture, is the greatest real materializing seed of hope that we see in the world.